Hey guys, Daniel here. This is another video, and in this video, I'm joined by the legendary Jed Mackay. If you guys don't know, Jed is a writer. He currently works for Marvel. He's currently working on a Moonlight series, which you can pick up issue 1 from your local comic book store. And as of time of recording, I believe issue 2 comes out tomorrow. But besides his work on Moonlight, he'll soon be writing the big event, The Death of Doctor Strange. He's also worked on comic books such as Black Cat, Taskmaster, Daredevil, Spider-Man, Avengers Mech Strike, Daughters of the Dragon, Magic the Gathering, and much more. Jed has very kindly agreed to come out for an interview and let me annoy him. So Jed, thank you so much for coming on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And yeah, thank you for having me on.
No problem. Looking forward to talk. So before we discuss Moonlight, let's get into the basics. So how did
Sure.
you get into comic books? Were you a fan growing up?
Yeah, I came up reading comic books when I was a kid. Read a lot of like Tintin stuff, Donald Duck, Uncle Scrooge stuff, like all the Gladstone, Karl Barks reprints, the Don Rosa stuff. So yeah, that's I think pretty much how I learned to read. After which I got into my dad's old comics. He collected comics a lot through the 70s and through the tail end of the 60s.
Did you grow up reading DC or Marvel, or was it more just Tintin?
Kind of moved into my dad's old comics. That's what I was mostly stuff. There's a lot of DC stuff as well. My dad would kind of follow different artists usually, so it would be whatever artist he liked, be whatever book they're drawing. So Barry Windsor Smith Conan,
Yes.
Paul Galassi on The Master of Kung Fu. Anything Kaluta was doing with the Shadow. So yeah, it's kind of a wide range. And of course, like all the Kirby Fourth World stuff, it's all kind of become like a big melange that I grew up reading. So it's kind of it always seems funny to me in that a lot of creators who are sort of a similar generation to me have a lot of affection for a lot of the real 90s stuff, because that's the time when we all came up.
Yeah.
But I wasn't reading 90s comics in the 90s because you have to pay money to buy new comics, whereas we already had a bunch of comics at home. So my parents were like, you have comics at home, you can read those. You don't need to be reading, whatever. We don't have to buy you new comics. So
Yeah.
it's, I think it's probably informed the way I make comics to some extent, but I guess the full extent will be apparent somewhere down the line, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then what was your first comic book work? Did you just go straight into working for Marvel?
Almost. I didn't really have the sort of self-publishing background that a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I was on the message boards, kind of the very early social media through the early to mid 2000s, and I was on a comic book like a comic artist message board, basically called Enter Void, where it was a lot of young artists. We were figuring out what it's like to put your work online, to network with other people online in a way that hadn't been possible before.
Yeah.
And that was still the period of time when I thought I was going to be an artist. I thought I was going to draw my own comics. It became very apparent that I couldn't draw well enough or fast enough to do that. But I hooked up with a friend of mine named Sheldon Bella, who's an Australian artist, for fun. They're just like really crass, violent comics, as you do when you're like 20, 21. And eventually Sheldon got picked up to do some work for Marvel. He was doing like one shots and anthology stuff, as he's a fantastic artist, so it was a good get. And he was brought in to do a story for an anthology book called X-Men Serve and Protect, number 4. And wow. The idea was you have an X-Men character and a non-X-Men character, and they team up and they have an adventure for 8 pages. And Sheldon was like, well, I actually don't know anything about any of these characters. So he emailed me. He's like, hey, do you want to write this? Because I have no idea what to do. I was like, okay, sure. I know these characters. And that was my first comic book work.
Wow. And so then how did, of course, Moonlight here come about? Because this is just a recent ongoing series. So how were you approached to ask? Did they ask you to write Moonlight, or did you pitch it to them? Or
it's a bit of both. I got an email from Tom Brevoort in last fall, around October, and he said, I'm looking to put together a Moon Knight book. Oh, there's the guy. And it looks very sharp, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, he says, I'm looking to put together a Moon Knight book. I don't really know what I want it to look like. So he says, I'm approaching a few people just to kind of see what ideas they have And do you want to be one of the people to sort of pitch your ideas? And I like Moon Knight. I think I've always thought it was very cool. So I immediately started throwing together some ideas and like what I thought would be a good basis for Moon Knight ongoing, and what I think could hopefully have some legs and longevity. And after a bit of back and forth, it was my story that they picked to go with, and that's when we got Moon Knight off the ground.
Yeah, and so like, were you like would you consider yourself knowledgeable in regards to Moon Knight? Because I guess you could say like he definitely has a fan base, but he's not as well known as a character like Iron Man and Captain America. So were you knowledgeable about the character of Moon Knight, or did you have to do some reading to find out more about him?
I had to do a fair amount of reading, because Moon Knight is one of those characters who he's been around for a long time, and he has a fair fan base, and he has a lot of appearances, but it's so spread out all over the place. Like he had his own series, then it ended. Then he had another series, and it ended. Then he was in Avengers, West Coast Avengers for a bit, and then he had another series. And like each time he has a series, whoever's working on it, he takes a different stab at it. Kind of say like, well, let's take him in this direction, see if it works, see if it is successful or interesting for people. And it's something has varying degrees of success. So there was Moon Knight stuff I was very familiar with. Then there's other Moon Knight stuff that I hadn't read before. So I kind of had to go back and get the the bigger picture on this character. So yeah, there's a fair amount of reading involved.
Yeah, no, I think like as opposed to a character like Iron Man or Captain America or Batman or Superman, Moon Knight seems like one of the hardest comic book characters to write, I think, because if you really take him for what he has like mental illnesses, split personalities. He worships kind of a devil. So all these different things. Do you consider Moon Knight a difficult character for you to write? And so at the start, when you were approaching it, did you like, oh man, it's really hard to get a grasp on this guy?
It is a bit, but it's more in the sense that Moon Knight represents a lot of different conflicting identities. Not just part of his dissociative identity disorder, but you're writing a book about someone who has mental illness. You're writing someone who has Jewish heritage and identity. You're writing someone who has that conflicting with some sort of weird Egyptian appropriation of God. And the trick that I found with him is I wanted to thread the needle and address all these issues in a way that is interesting, but is also respectful, not hurtful to people who are have these identities. Specifically his dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah,
where it's something we wanted to move away from a bit. That was kind of like one of the outlines that was given to me when I was given the series. Say like every time we do a Moon Knight book, it just kind of falls into this vortex of his battling different personalities, and we just kind of keep in a little different direction. This is Moon Knight who's in recovery. This is Moon Knight who's in therapy, and it's not to say that he does not have that DID, but it's not going to be the sole axe that falls around. Yeah, there he is.
There's Moon Knight again, looking very snazzy. What is it about his costumes? He just looks good in all of them. But so of course, approaching Moon Knight, were you inspired by any previous Moon Knight stories? Like, did you read? I know Warren Ellis's and Declan Shalvey's run were made. Declan's a friend of mine. I got into him. But like looking at it, did you say, "Oh, I like that aspect, and I want to explore that more," or "Oh, I think that's fun"? Was that for you looking at some previous stories?
Yeah, absolutely. There's some runs in particular that I really like. I mean, I really love the run that Declan drew. Like, I mean, he has such a lasting effect on Moon Knight, to the point where when we were putting the series together, we hadn't really talked about what costume he'd be wearing, and Alessandro just started drawing it with Declan's costume. I was like, oh, I don't know, like it's a tough costume for other people who aren't Declan to draw, like he's such a good artist, but he also has such a distinct style. Then Alessandro's like, no, I can do it. I want to do this costume. I'm like, all right. And, he did it. Like it's not a costume everybody can draw. And Alessandro just like turned it right around. But similarly, I really like that run, but also at the same time, we don't really learn much about Mark Spector. We don't learn much about Moon Knight. It's a lot of, I think it's really exciting and atmospheric and has some great stories and ideas. And I like how episodic it is. But also I wanted to get into some of the more human kind of aspects of the character, like we saw, the Jeff Lemire run, or going right back to the first with Doug mentioned Bill Sienkiewicz. So that's kind of the balance, is the kind of street level weirdness of the 2014 run, I think.
Yeah.
With some of the more, while still exploring some of the more human aspects of the character. Because I think him being opaque in a cipher works great for a miniseries. But for an ongoing, you kind of want to dig into the character a little more.
Yeah, as much as I hate complimenting Declan, he's all right sometimes. He can just about draw a page, you know. It's a self-deprecation of the Irish. It's okay if I insult him, you know. Of course, it's just it works like that.
Absolutely.
So would you consider this run of Moonlight like a more character-driven, sort of like you really want to focus on the character of Mark Spector as opposed to maybe some of the other action aspects? Because there is obviously it's filled with action, but also you can kind of see the little remnants that you're going to start, you know, kind of delving into Mark Spector as a character. So is that something you want to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, with any superhero comic, it's always going to be a balance of the two, right? You can't have action without some sort of character work. Otherwise, it's kind of hollow, you know.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you have all character work and no action, I mean, you might as well write a novel. Like you're working with some great artists. So you're not giving them anything exciting to draw, and you're not giving people something exciting to read. So it's a matter of striking that balance of having the action, having the character work, and when you can have them be the same thing, where you can show a lot about a character through the actions they take.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is the first time we've ever seen a vampire pyramid scheme in a comic. So I assume you get an Eisner for that. Is it as easy as that?
I hope so. I mean, I was trying to think of just kind of like weird baddies to throw at him from the get-go. I was like, well, vampires are always fun. And I was like, but when you see vampires in media, they're always these very like old world sort of European vampires of like aristocratic lords and ladies of the night. Whereas I think it's much more American to have them be like a garbage pyramid scheme / self-improvement cult.
Brilliant. That's a great start to have this run off. Now, but you just brought up villains there. Another villain I love that you brought in was Vermin. Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I knew he was, but he's a pretty obscure villain. So did you have to was that recommended by Tom the editor or Tom Brevoort, or did you want to put Vermin in this comic?
No, I was basically just looking for someone for Moon Knight to beat up, and I was going through because I was just looking for a street level villain. So I was like, oh, I'll just look at Spider-Man villains to see what we got on the list. And we had Vermin. I'm like, well, a gross rat guy. That sounds good. Then just go and look up what his deal is. I'm like, it's even better. He clones himself so we can kill as many of them as we want on the pages. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so surprised you got to use him, considering he's such a huge character in comic book continuity. I assume he's getting his own miniseries.
I really had to fight for him. I'll tell you that much.
I'm sure you did. And as long like another character got to include 8-Ball, I'm sure you had to fight for all these huge. I'm really amazed at who you got away with including. But I really like this panel because this is something I saw all over Twitter before I actually read the comic. It's the I'm not Spider-Man, I'm Moon Knight, and I don't die.
Yeah.
So I really like. So did you come up with that monologue while writing, or did you come up with it from the start?
Generally, most of the stuff I'll come up with when I'm writing it. A lot of it for me happens on the page. I'm not as good at preparing stuff and like having stuff ready to go. Usually like when I walk the dog in the morning down to the park for an hour. That's my time when I started like thinking things up, and once in a while I'll get a good zinger and like try to keep in the back of my mind when I go to write. But stuff like that, I was just like, here's a moment. What can you say that sounds really cool? And this idea of Moon Knight is a guy who keeps dying and he keeps coming back to beat people up, and till this point doesn't really learn anything from it. I thought was really interesting. And then I was like, oh, wow, this would be something really interesting to lean into. And I'm like, oh, wait, they're doing that over an Immortal Hulk. And I was like, yeah, I guess I got to back away from this, like, constantly reviving Moon Knight thing.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's no 8-Ball in Immortal Hulk. So,
not yet. There's still one issue left, I think.
I think that's when we get 8-Ball. It's just all been building up to this one specific moment with 8-Ball.
I mean, he's a real puppet master,
Yeah, he's a tactician. You can see it in Moon Knight. He's planting the seeds to come back later. You see, I caught on to that. He let himself be beat up by Dr. Bader just so he could get in their heads, make them think he's weak.
Exactly.
So Marvel, please reply to my emails. We pitch this series, get this thing rolling.
For the 8-Ball limited series.
Yeah, of course. But I also love this aspect because obviously now and Moon Knight runs his own thing called the Midnight Mission, where people can come to him with like, problems that are mystical or, just anything in nature, and he'll come and kind of sort them out. So is that a new concept you came up with for this series?
Yeah. When I got the call, I sat down and tried to think of like what would be an interesting take for Moon Knight. Yeah. So I wanted to do something that hadn't been done before. I wanted to do something that, perhaps take it in a new direction that people might find interesting or will hopefully find interesting or exciting. And I really kind of was looking at the role of the Fist of Khonshu, where like the Fist of Khonshu is a dude who, beats people up, which is great. We love that. It's comic books. But the Fist of Khonshu is also the High Priest of Khonshu. And, this idea of what does it mean to be the priest of this Egyptian moon god, especially the one that you stabbed in the back in the pages of Avengers a few months ago now. Yeah. So this idea of Moon Knight as a priest at odds with his god, a renegade cleric, or however you want to phrase it, and it was just kind of like the iteration of Midnight. So I was like, that's an idea. Like he's got a place, and like how's that going to go? Is he developing a cult, or like how's this going to shake out for him? Is this a good idea? Also, is it a great idea to be one of the most hated superheroes and also have an address where people can reach you? Be in the yellow pages. So that's stuff we'll kind of see play out as we go through the series.
Wow. Yeah, and so of course I just have to point out this amazing page. We see everyone's favorite character, 8-Ball, there. Just look at him in all his glory.
Just getting absolutely slammed.
Yeah, but you see, you have to really, he's such a complex character. I wouldn't expect you to understand, but you have to get into his, you have to get into the head and examine his psychology.
You've got to like really get behind the 8-Ball.
Yeah, you see, look, boom. Another thing, we can fit all of this into my series. So this is the new character you introduced, Dr. Bader. Am I pronouncing that right? Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Bader.
Perfect. But yeah, no, so I mean, we probably shouldn't spoil the ending for issue 1, should we, or should we just leave it?
I mean, it's fine. It's out. It's been out for a month.
Okay. Oh, brilliant. So we kind of see that maybe he's not all who he claims to be. So click off this. Just skip this part if you haven't read issue 1 yet, which I'm sure you probably have. But we see that maybe soon him and Moon Knight may cross paths, not in the best way. So is he going to? Are him and Moon Knight going to meet each other soon?
Oh yeah, they're going to meet in issue 3.
Oh, we see. Look, we have that little there, and then 8-Ball's behind it all.
Because yeah, we see this great Steve McNiven cover for number 3. You see Hunter's Moon in his full kit after Jay Lee. So yeah, that's all of the solicits, so it's out there if people want to find it. But yeah, no, issue 3 we see Moon Knight and Hunter's Moon have what we'll call it a spirited theological discussion.
Oh,
we see
style
the two fists of Khonshu. What happens when they meet?
Yeah, and is it all just talking over? How do we stop 8-Ball? He's out again somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's it. They're like, listen, we got to put aside our differences. There's a billiards themed supervillain about, and I think you know who I'm talking about.
That's Batman v Superman. He's the new Doomsday. He's just out there wreaking havoc.
I think that might be the case.
Like I said, Marvel, please respond to my emails. I assume the machine is broken or something. Just hashtag, get 8-Ball trending. I seem to always bring up a new obscure character. But like, of course, like there's also a few references, 8-Ball references. Oh no, please don't cut my face off. And that's an Easter egg. I think was that what during Warren Ellis's Moon Knight?
No, that was Charlie Huston's Moon Knight. He basically beat Raoul Bushman to death, and then cut his face off, and then carried his face around for a while.
That's why we love Moon Knight, everyone.
Yeah, that's kind of like his defining act of brutality that sort of followed him through the years. Like that's his Hank Pym slapping Janet Van Dyne sort of moment. And so that's kind of that's the kind of thing he's, fans of the character often go back to, and it's kind of the thing that he's always going to have to live down, because that's it was pretty gross.
Not his best moment.
I mean, not his finest moment. At one point, he was wearing the face, and then then Marlene saw it. His girlfriend. She's like, "I'm out of here." He's like, "No, wait, I can explain." Like, not really sure how you can explain that one.
So, are we going to see some of that? Is Moon Knight going to wear any faces in this series? No.
I mean, we haven't even seen his actual face yet.
Oh, you never know. It could be revealed that he just ate ball the whole time. What? Canon now? Am I right?
I think it might be. It might give it away if you see Moon Knight. He's got a giant round head under his Moon Knight mask.
Just say it's a metaphor for something, and we'll get away with it. Say it's
for inner turmoil.
Yeah, aren't we all 8-ball on the inside? See, boom, got that look sorted. But I really love how also Mark Spector has a new therapist. Now, last time he had a therapist, didn't go so well. As in, therapist almost tried to kill him. But so, is there going to be more like scenes where we kind of see more into Mark's psychology and find out more like what affected him and what he believes?
Yeah, Dr. Sturman is. She's kind of like she's an old character I dug out. She's from. Oh wow. She was. Jack Monroe's therapist, Nomad. Oh, so right. So she was his therapist, and then she was in V Battalion for a bit. She had a whole history in the 90s. So I dug her out when I was looking for licensed mental health professionals to deal with Moon Knight, and she'll be recurring through the series. Because one of the things is, in writing this series, I don't have any thought caption boxes. We're not inside Mark's head like we are in, other books that I write.
Yeah.
And reason is because I'm trying to show how Moon Knight or Mr. Knight or Mark Spector, whatever you want to call him, is like a deeply alienated character. He's a guy who has a lot of problems. It's the same thing. When we look at him, all we see is this mask, either all white or all black. And so in the same way, his thoughts are masked. So in order to get into his head, we have these sequences with Dr. Sturman where we'll have conversations and, he'll talk about stuff. So the reader sees Moon Knight the same way all the characters do. We're all limited to just what he does and what he says, not what he thinks. And that's, we're going to gradually peel back those layers and, see what's going on with him.
And so then what's your favorite element to write in regards to Moon Knight? Is it his, splits of his dissociative identity disorder? Or is it some of his other aspects? What's that one element you love writing for the most?
I really like I said, how alienated he is. I like the fact that Moon Knight is a superhero that nobody likes. Especially coming off the Age of Khonshu, where he beat down the Avengers and helped Khonshu take over the world. There's a lot of guilt there, and he's really trying to figure out who he is, especially who he is without Khonshu. He's had Khonshu with him ever since he came back from the dead the first time and took on the mantle of Moon Knight, and now he's got to figure out what he's going to do without that.
And there you see Moon Knight arm wrestling Frankenstein, because why not?
Yeah, Frankenstein bikers.
Brilliant.
That's kind of where we're at. Just discovering this new identity. Someone sort of pulling himself from the wreckage and seeing what the world has to offer him after that.
Yeah, and obviously, we can't get into specifics too much, but it's revealed that there's also a new character watching over Mark Spector, let's say, or Moon Knight. Maybe, will we see more of this new villain soon enough?
Oh, we will, but it's not a new villain. This is an established Marvel character.
Wow. You already know who I'm going to predict it is. Should I even say it? Is it 8-ball?
I don't know. It's 8-ball. Yeah, he's really figured something out here.
Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. Comic book readers will just report this exclusively anonymously. Boom. It'll be on Bleeding Cool tomorrow. No, it's an established Marvel character, but it's not a regular Moon Knight villain. So like when we were starting this up, we're trying to figure out what sort of supporting characters we want to bring in here. What sort of stuff we want to pull from Moon Knight publication history and what we want to do new. And part of that was the idea of coming up with new villains, or not villains, but say new adversaries for Moon Knight, such as Hunter's Moon, or established Marvel characters or characters that have appeared in the past that can become Moon Knight adversaries. So because Marvel has such a back catalog of characters that some haven't been used for a really long time, and it's always fun to kind of dig them out, dust them off, and put them to work. So I think this is a character that is a good fit for Moon Knight, and we'll see what people think. Wow. I could continue to pry you, but we all know who it is. We can read between the lines.
Exactly.
Not saying it's 8-ball, but it's definitely 8-ball. So like, So how many of the issues do you have scripted so far? 12 or?
I'm working on issue 7 right now. Normally, I would have issue 7 done by now, but I've been taking a lot of extra work and like rush one-shot jobs, so it keeps getting pushed back and back. But yeah, I'll have that one done, then I'll be right on to number 8 after that.
Yeah,
but
just tell your editors you're talking to me, and then they'll understand. They'll understand. I have that type of.
I have it planned out to 12 issues at the moment, and then as we go further on, then I'll just keep planning out and then keep writing.
Yeah, and so do you think now, like from when you first started, you have a better grasp on the character of Moonlight? Because you've kind of been, because you have his voice nailed.
I mean, I don't know if I have it nailed yet, but I'm certainly working on it. The thing with Moonlight too is that I'm sort of experimenting on, playing with his voice a bit, because he plays a lot of different roles. When he is Mr. Knight, he's generally trying to be, when he roles the High Priest of Khonshu, he sort of had more of a grandiose or formal way of speech. But when he's leveraging his reputation for brutality, then perhaps he's more to frighten, that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just everyone, you can go check out a creative team there. Jed Mackay, Alessandro Capuccio, Rachelle Rosenberg, Corey Petit, and covers by Steve McNiven and Frank DeMarta, and variant cover artists by all these people who we do not have time. But if you'd like to see a review, just get this video to 1 billion likes. Jed, just take a minute. I have a comic book team YouTube channel, so I'm swimming in riches. I'm sure you can comprehend.
Certainly.
Yeah. Even more than someone who works at Marvel, talking about comic books. I'm living in a $1 million mansion. But yeah, no, so I like in this issue, like, so Khonshu in current continuity, he's locked away in Asgard. Is that correct?
Yeah. After the Age of Khonshu and Mark turned on him, the Aesir have him locked up there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so is it tough for you to kind of write in like Moonlight without Khonshu, or is that something that kind of excites you?
No, I think it's a really interesting opportunity, because we're kind of taking him in a direction, kind of a newer direction, in that had Khonshu around. In the past, there's been speculation whether Khonshu is just sort of an expression of his mental illness.
Yes, yeah.
This or that. You kind of went back and forth. Age of Khonshu sort of solidified it. Said here's Khonshu. He's a real thing, and he's messing up the world. He's messing up the world. But I mean, I don't. We haven't seen the last of Khonshu, where Mark and Khonshu, it's less like a god and the worshiper, and more like a bad marriage, or a really dysfunctional family, where like Mark is not happy with Khonshu, but he can never fully get away from him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Khonshu should find like a new person to team up with. And I'm not going to say any names in particular. Yeah, do you see it coming? Do you know who I'm going to say? Have I become so predictable?
Yeah, I think I've discerned the pattern at this point.
It's gonna be Iron Man. I think you can just come up with a lot of stories there. You thought I was gonna say 8-Ball, didn't you? Everyone watching, you thought it was coming. You were wrong. But yeah, no. So everyone can pick up Moonlight issue 1 from their local comic book store.
Oh yes, they can. I don't know. Are you that?
Sorry, you're back now. Okay, sorry. So everyone can pick this from local comic book store. And issue 2 comes out tomorrow, as of time of recording.
Yep, tomorrow, August 18th.
Yeah,
we'll have
absolutely.
Issue 2 of Moon Knight out.
So what can you tell us about that? What's on the solicits? What can we find out?
We have, so Moon Knight has set himself up as the protector of the people within his territory. But what happens when the people of that territory are turned against him as a weapon? So we're going to see what happens there. There are previews available online if you want to take a look, or you can just go into it cold. It's going to be a story resolved in 1 episode, so you get a full story in 20 pages. So check that out.
Wow, absolutely. And so then obviously we have more. But so is the format of like 1 issue like per month? Is it? Yes, per month. Is that like difficult for you? Because at the end you kind of have to have that hook or that moment. And is it tough for you to kind of tell your story? And is it 20 pages or 24?
20 page. I write 20 pages of story generally. The first issue of Moon Knight was 30 pages because it's a number 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you get used to it. So like I would generally want to give people a full story. You want to give people what they paid for, but at the same time, you also want to leave them wanting more because you want them to come back and read the next issue and the next issue and the next issue. So it's a bit of a balancing act because I remember reading when I would be buying comics, I get really annoyed when you have a super decompressed story where nothing would basically happen for an issue. I'm like, this doesn't need to be 12 parts. This could be 4 parts. But so I generally try to make sure, the readers have something, but also to end on a note that's exciting or interesting that makes people want to know what happens next.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so everyone make sure to go pick up Moonlight from your local comic book store. But another one of your works I want to touch on, something that's upcoming, Death of Doctor Strange. That's just
Death of Doctor Strange.
A title like that, I think there's only one man worthy to kill him, and we all know it's probably like Venom or someone. I'm just throwing out names, it could be anyone really. Not any particular Spider-Man villain that has an A in his name.
I mean, maybe maybe he's not even been murdered. It's just the death of Doctor Strange. He could have fallen in the shower. He's getting up there in age.
Is that canon now? Is that the whole event? Would his cape not come and save him in time? Or who knows? Maybe he took a bad step and he just fell. That's the wrap on him. He broke his back on the stairs or something. But yeah, so sorry, go on.
No, just go ahead.
Oh yeah, so the Death of Doctor Strange. What a name. We barely know much about this series yet, but so how did this come about? Did you pitch this to Marvel?
It came about sort of. We kind of met each other halfway. I was finishing up the King and Black Cat arc, which had Doctor Strange in it. And I was like, well, I like Doctor Strange, and
I want to kill him.
yeah. I was like, well, I like Doctor Strange, but I feel like he's been off the board. No, I was looking for another job to do, like a new book, because I'd finished Taskmaster, and I needed to keep working. So I thought about it. Well, Doctor Strange doesn't have a book right now, and they haven't announced a book. So I just emailed the Doctor Strange editor and said, like, hey, I see there's no Doctor Strange book now. There hasn't been a Doctor Strange book announced. Can I write a Doctor Strange book? And they're like, sure. I was like, wow, it's just that easy. Like, yeah, we're gonna kill him, so you can write it. I was like, oh, all right. Not what I'd anticipated. Yeah, not what I'd anticipated, but yeah, I'm down.
Of course. Is this you just have a deep rooted hatred of Doctor Strange when you were younger? Did he kill one of your favorite characters? You're like, I'm gonna kill Doctor Strange one day.
Yeah, I just have a real regret. I never forgiven him from going from the blue cape to the red cape.
Unforgivable. What a bad fashion choice. It's all rooted in that. But yeah, and so Lee Garbit's on art on that, isn't he?
Yep. Lee Garbit's on it. He's doing great work. Yeah, I'm very excited for it.
But yeah, so what can you tell us about the Death of Doctor Strange? Obviously you can't go into specifics, but what's it been like getting to work on it?
It's been, a series where there's been, because it's kind of a big deal for Doctor Strange to die. He's been around for a long time. He's the Sorcerer Supreme. So we did a lot of back and forth between me and the editors, and ideas would go forward. They say, yes, this is good, or no, this doesn't work, or no, you can't use that character, or yes, you can use this character, that kind of thing. Because we're looking at, kind of looking at the world of magic, and we're going to see, Strange's villains from the past. We're going to see, old friends, new friends.
Wow.
And just sort of the effect that the death of this character is going to have on the Marvel universe. So it's one part world-shaking event and one part murder mystery, and we're going to kind of look at both parts here, who did it, and also can we save the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So that comes out in October. Would I be correct in saying so?
September, I believe.
September. Oh, you might. Yeah. Actually, you might be correct there. September. But everyone make sure to stay tuned for that. But yeah, so I imagine that there's a weight of responsibility or pressure. Feeling like, oh man, I have to kill Doctor Strange.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. I think people will enjoy it. It's one of those things that I think we're treating it with the respect it deserves. We're giving people something interesting and exciting and something mysterious. And I think we're just
no pun intended.
Hey, and I think we're just looking at Doctor Strange, who he is, the role he plays, and like the place he occupies in the Marvel universe, and what that Doctor Strange shaped hole looks like when he's taken out of it.
Wow. And so yeah, I can't wait for that episode. Is that a mini or is it ongoing or paperback or how's that coming out?
That's a mini. It's going to be 5 issues.
5 issues. Everyone make sure to go stay tuned for that. It's going to be amazing. I'll have to bring on have to bring him back and then just start, question him about everything, pull out the light detective style. I'm like,
Yeah.
I never expected it to be this one obscure Spider-Man villain,
Yeah. Yeah.
Boomerang.
Vermin.
Boomerang. Yeah, I wasn't gonna say 8 Ball. Is 8 Ball even a Spider-Man villain?
I don't think he's really anybody's villain. I don't think anyone would lay claim to 8 Ball. It'd be embarrassing.
I think at the end of the day, we're all 8 Ball in a sense. When you
Yeah.
think about
Yeah.
it,
It takes a village to raise a child, you know.
yeah, 8 Ball's a metaphor for human greed. Aren't we all just 8 Ball a little bit? But yeah, no. So Death of Doctor Strange, everyone's gonna pick that out September. But some of your other Marvel work, like Black Cat, which you're very well known for, what's it like to get to work on her? Because you've done quite a bit of work.
Yeah, it was great. We got issue number 9. Yeah, issue number 9 of Black Cat comes out tomorrow as well.
Is there anything you're not working on right now? Oh man, there's so much.
Yeah, it's spread out a fair amount. So I've been very lucky to stay quite busy, and it's allowed me to be fairly prolific, which is great. But yeah, no, Black Cat's been great. That was kind of the series that got me what name that I do have. That's kind of my I guess you say my breakout series where people liked it. You had a lot of people who didn't expect to be interested in a Black Cat series were surprised, and I think it was a success in that respect because no one expects a Black Cat series to make it past 5 issues. In the superhero comics world, for a lower tier character, getting past 5 issues is a real hurdle. And it was recently announced that we'll be finishing up the series with Giant Size Black Cat #1. But by the time that's over, we'll have had 25 issues out, which
That's
is not a bad
amazing.
run. I'm pretty proud of that. With
When
all
does the
the
giant
and of
size?
course with all the with all sorry, just, but with all the the great people I worked with as well. Because we had so many artists on the book, and they've all been amazing. So yeah, Giant Size Black Cat is November, I believe.
Ooh, you have something for every month. I assume you'll be doing signings every other day.
Yeah.
But so of course Black Cat. So she's obviously, I think that's like on paper, she's not like she just she steals stuff, but like you kind of explore as a character more and you explore the people around her and you put her in fun situations. So was it fun for you? Because you can kind of like when you read it, you can feel the fun coming off the page and you kind of know you had fun working on it. Did you have a lot of fun working on Black Cat?
Yeah, absolutely. It's with going into it, I knew what I wanted it to be. I wasn't looking for a hard-edged crime story or like we got away from the sort of cat burglar angle a lot because I feel like if you're doing these cat burglar jobs over and over again, they kind of just tend to be the same thing. You sneak past the people, you get the thing, you sneak out. Whereas we wanted to develop in more of these like big, explosive, colorful heists.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of different stuff going on. You have one guy doing this, one guy doing this, one guy doing this, and it all kind of comes together. It looks like it's going to go bad, or maybe it does go bad, and then how do they get out of it? And we kind of took that opportunity to take people on sort of a tour of the Marvel Universe. We went, first job in #2 was we're going to go rob Doctor Strange's house. In #4 we're going to go rob Fantastic Four's house. We're going to go to Madripoor and rob Wolverine, aka Mr. Patch. We're going to go rob Tony Stark. So just ripping people off left and right, and bringing in these Marvel guest stars. Sometimes as a team up, usually as someone getting robbed. So yeah, it's just wanted to harken back to that kind of like breezy, exciting, fun heist stuff where you have people who look good, tell jokes, and at the end of the day are smarter and more clever than the people that they're ripping off.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, did you try and stray away from the fact that she's like a supporting Spider-Man character? Do you want to really bring her in on her own and say, no, she's more than just a supporting Spider-Man character?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
yeah,
it was a pretty hard line to stand that we weren't going to bring in Spider-Man. We didn't until the annual, which Nick, the editor, was like, how about we have Spider-Man and Black Cat get married? I'm like, okay, but you can't just throw a grenade at me like that and leave me to figure it out. He's like, what do you think your job is? I'm like, yeah, actually, you're right. But yeah, like in the main series, I don't think we can see Spider-Man until issue. Is it 6.
Oh, that's
Like issue number 6
going.
of the second run. So it'd be like issue 18.
Wow.
Because like that's the thing when you have a character that's so closely associated with a like a real tentpole sort of character like Spider-Man, is you got to get out of that character's shadow. I didn't want the book to be Spider-Man's gal pal Black Cat. It's Black Cat.
Yeah.
So we just just kept him out of the book, and I think it worked. I guess he was always there as sort of a in case sales get bad, break glass sort of situation. We're like, okay, we got to bring Spider-Man in for every issue, but we avoided that for the most part.
Yeah, and I think you did a brilliant job there. But you brought up Spider-Man. There's another character that got to do quite a bit of work on, like Spider-Geddon, and for Free Comic Book Day, you did a Spider-Man story. Is that correct?
I mean, it was a Black Cat story, but it had Spider-Man on the title.
Of course, got that sweet money coming in. Yeah, so getting to work on like Spider-Geddon or Spider-Man. But what was that like?
It was great. I mean, that was kind of how I, got my career started. Like the story I told you when we did that X-Men thing, that was 10 years ago. And then after that, I have any work from Marvel for like 4 years. So then after that, Sheldon and I did another 8-page story. It was the Punk Spider-Man, Hobie Brown, for the Spider-Verse series. Yeah, the anthology series.
Yeah.
And then after that, nothing for another 4 years. And then 2018, I got the call saying, hey, do you want to do a full issue with the Spider-Punk character for Spider-Geddon? So yeah, absolutely. And that was like my first full issue. And then from that, I did a lot of kind of Spider-Man, Spider-Geddon, Spider-Verse fill-in stuff. So a backup here, an issue there, because I was just a guy that Nick knew that I could get something done fast, and usually be pretty good. So yeah, and that's kind of like where I had this sort of like long history of just Spider-Man bits and bobs. But I don't think I actually wrote Peter Parker Spider-Man until
Black Cat.
Was it? It was either the annual or that Free Comic Book Day story. I can't remember which one came first. But yeah, like that would have. Yeah, that would have been the first time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excuse me.
No, you're okay. But so like Black Cat, like obviously you seem to explore, I guess, villains. Like, and Black Cat isn't the only villain you're given a miniseries to. You also got to do a bit of work on Taskmaster. Was that for like a 6-issue miniseries?
No, he hasn't eaten yet. Sorry, go ahead.
It was so. You got to work on Taskmaster for was that 6 issues?
5 issues.
5 issues. Yeah, well, I was like get to work on Taskmaster because I mean, in terms of like, I mean, I guess he's a pretty obscure villain, but he's been in comics since like the 80s. I mean, a comic book fan would recognize him, but if someone who only knows the movies probably wouldn't. I mean, they probably now would after Black Widow.
Yeah.
It was like getting to work on Taskmaster. Was that fun for you?
It was great. I really like Taskmaster. He's he's a bad guy. No one would say he's a particularly good person, but he's also not a world conquering supervillain. Like he's just he's a working guy. He's just there to have some kicks, make some money. Hopefully not get murdered. So he's got these great fighting abilities. He's got an awesome costume, but he's also a coward and a bully, and he's very aware of that. And I think there's a lot of fun territory to explore there with him for that.
Yeah. So, sorry, go on.
He's a bit goofy. He's sassy. He likes a joke. So it's always fun to explore characters like that.
And he's probably the only person in the Marvel universe who's canonically his ringtone is Dolly Parton. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly. He's light here.
Okay.
Yeah, he's it's one of the small pleasures of comic book writing where you can figure out what people's ringtones are.
Do you do that a lot in your work?
Yeah. Anytime I have a phone ring, I generally try to figure out what the appropriate ringtone is going to be. But Taskmasters was the one that was best received, I think, because just fit.
Now it's synonymous. When you think of Taskmaster, you think of Dolly Parton, and you're like, how did I not see this before?
I mean, he's working 9 to 5. He's not putting in any extra hours he's not getting paid for.
Yeah, and so in this series, he was kind of, I guess you could say, framed for the murder of Maria Hill,
Mhm.
and he's not even offended. He's just, well, I mean, he's not offended at the fact that someone said he killed someone. He's just offended, like, I didn't do it, and plus I didn't get paid for it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, so was it fun for you to get the right Taskmaster? It's just this sleazy, horrible character.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the sleazier the better as far as Taskmaster goes. Fury wasn't kidding. He's like, it says Taskmaster, you have zero redeeming features. You have no virtues whatsoever. You're just you're a bad person. You're not a
Well,
villain.
he's an
You're
Elvis
evil.
fan, so
I mean, who isn't?
yeah, there you go. It's his natural it's binary for him. And but yeah, so this question I want to ask you: if out of any other villain in all of comic books, if you could give a miniseries to one, who's that one villain you'd like to do a miniseries with?
Villain. That's a question usually doesn't come up. I mean, it's a bit of a cheat, but I'd love to do another Taskmaster series. I've got one ready to go.
Wow.
There's always 8 Ball, but I think he's a little too big for me at this point in my career.
Yeah. Unfortunately, so he already has like 3 ongoing series right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Continuity's a mess.
But yeah, you know what? That's a very good question. I don't really know because off the top of my head who I would go with.
You have to sit and
think
I'm afraid
I don't really have an answer for you off the top of my head.
I've broken Jed, everyone. It was so easy.
Yeah.
All I had to do was bring up that. I could see he's twitching there. He's malfunctioning.
The gears are all jammed up in my head now.
Yeah, you can see him right there. So out of all the comic books, was there ever one character you got to include in a story that you were like, oh, I surprisingly enjoy writing for this character?
Yeah, I mean, there's characters that you really want to write, and then there's characters that kind of surprise you. Yeah. I was on a bit of a campaign early in my career to get Ulysses Bloodstone out there, where I'd gotten a job to do like a one-shot anthology series for Bizarre Adventures, which was harkening back to the black and white Marvel magazines of the 70s. I was like, well, that's awesome. I'll do because my favorite of the Marvel black and white magazines was Savage Tales, particularly the Barry Windsor Smith 2-part story, Red Nails, which was awesome. And I was like, man, I'll do a Conan story. That'd be great. And Marvel just recently acquired the Conan license. He's like, and Jake, my editor, was like, yeah, you can't do Conan. I was like, are you serious? I'm like, all right, fine. I will go and look for a character that is so close to Conan that I can still tell a Conan story. So I came up with Ulysses Bloodstone, who he's a monster hunter. He was originally a caveman. He couldn't die. He had a big a bloodstone, a gem buried in his chest. So it told like basically a Conan story, but with Ulysses Bloodstone. And after that, I was like, I really like Ulysses Bloodstone. He's dead. But I put him in Black Cat, the first issue, in a backup. I put him in my Alpha Flight short I did for that Alpha Flight anthology, where he was teamed up with Puck and Fat Cobra in like the 1920s. So yeah, I was working on Ulysses Bloodstone for a bit. He became a particular obsession, and I kind of moved on.
Do you have a shrine to him dedicated? He's the key to all of this.
Not even a character nobody likes, but a character who's been replaced by a character that people actually do like. Elsa Bloodstone, his daughter.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so yeah, I don't see him coming back anytime soon. But I had a good run with trying to get him into the public consciousness.
Exactly. I think he's just one of those characters that even this one issue is too much greatness. Like Raiders of the Lost Ark will just melt down everywhere, and like I was flopping out. It's just he's too powerful. But yeah, so you also got to work on the character of Daredevil, and I believe that was it. Each issue there's a new artist.
Yes, except for issues 1 and 5 were both Danilo Beirut.
Yeah, and so was that the one Apollo Villanelli? Did he work with you on that?
Yep.
Yeah,
Apollo
friend of the channel here. Brilliant artist.
I think issue 3.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
3 or 4. It was the Kingpin issue.
Yeah,
it's been a while. It's been a while since I've looked at that series now, but yeah, that was great. I love Apollo's issue. The whole Kingpin stuff was great.
Yeah, I talked about him, and apparently while he was drawing it, he goes to a studio in Italy with all these other artists, and everyone was going over saying, no, make his shoulders bigger and just make his head smaller. That's the thing about Kingpin. He has to be like, He just has to stretch out. But yeah, so it's like get to work in Daredevil because I mean, he's probably one of my favorite comic book characters. And whenever I ask people at the end, spoiler for the last question, but I always ask, what's your dream comic book character to work on? And Daredevil comes up, I'd say the most, which I'd be surprised about. Yeah, but so what's it like to work in Daredevil?
It was. I really enjoyed working on Daredevil. That was a big leap for me. It was the second series I'd ever done. The first series was Daughters of the Dragon. It was digital only, so it wasn't a huge amount of exposure. People like Daughters of the Dragon, like Misty Knight and Colleen Wing, but it's Daredevil fans are several magnitudes higher, and this was going to be print, so it was going to get out there and people were going to read it. So I was quite anxious because, first off, it was a fill-in series bridging between Charles Soule and Chip Zdarsky's runs.
Oh,
and it's the first time I'd worked with this character, and people love Daredevil. He's a big character. Like, people are very keen on him. So my work was going to be put in front of a lot more eyes than I'd been used to at that point in time. So I was a bit apprehensive. And do you want to do this Daredevil series? It's like, yeah, absolutely, that'd be great. And like, okay, well, here's the thing. He's been hit by a truck. He can't move, and he spends the entire series in the hospital. I was like, what? How am I supposed to tell 5 issues of a guy sitting in a hospital bed? So I mean, that it's we figured it out, and they're like, oh yeah, also we have to start like next week. This is a weekly, and we got to get this show on the road. I was like, oh, okay, sure, right. So I was working full time as a teacher at that point in time. I was turning around a script every week. Wow. So it was a grueling schedule, but I was very happy with how it all came out. I think I learned a lot about telling stories with time restraints, with sort of plot restraints, because he was put in one place by Charles and he has to be at another place for Chip to pick him up. And we got to use those 5 issues to illustrate what happens to him and how he goes from a coma to getting ready to get back out on the streets again. So yeah, I think, and he's a really interesting character, and he also has such a great supporting cast. Because if you got an issue, you should bring in the Kingpin as a supporting cast. It doesn't get much better than that, And it was his dead girlfriend scrapbook issue, and Foggy and his coma stuff, and just coming to grips with this personification of fear. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot to work with there with Daredevil, and I had a lot of fun working on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, this may surprise you, but one of my favorite Marvel villains of all time is Bullseye. I know everyone watching thought I was about to say 8 Ball. I'm sure. And but Bullseye,
they're very similar, black and white circles.
It's practically verbatim the same person when you think about it. They're like one entity. So did you get to include Bullseye in that series, or was it just Kingpin?
Just Kingpin. Bullseye we didn't do much with.
Shocking.
He was he was in the first issue, the sort of coma fantasy sort of thing. But beyond that, I think, and he was in the flashback where he killed Elektra.
Yeah. Oh, was it like that iconic thing where the knife is slipped through and it's like pointing up?
I believe so. Yeah. Again, I haven't looked at that series for a while just because I'm so busy. But I can't imagine not having that scene if you're illustrating the death of Elektra. And part of the thing is too, there would be no place for Bullseye in that series because he's an insane person who kills people, and Daredevil can't. But also, nobody knows Daredevil's Matt Murdock at that point because of the whole Purple Children thing. Excuse me. So, yeah, it just wasn't really a spot for him there.
You can just fit him in anyway. You know what? You're right. You're meant to just fit in random characters that aren't meant to go in. Like Colin Farrell as Bullseye, I hold it's the greatest casting decision of all time. I'm not sure if you saw that there. So if you ever do fit in the comic, it has to be the Colin Farrell version.
I mean, I'm much older than you. I saw that movie when it came out.
yeah, but it has to be the Colin Farrell version.
Of course.
There's no other version really.
I mean, not really. No, like when that Irish national treasure just immortalized him on the big screen.
The Daredevil TV show, the guy who played Bullseye, Wilson Battle, was so good. But it's Colin Farrell, it's just this bald guy running around, marking his head with an Irish accent, killing bees by throwing stuff at them. It's just like, yeah, okay, that's Bullseye. So yeah, that's basically canon.
It was extremely, when did that movie come out? Like 2001, 2002?
3, I think.
Yeah, like it was very of the time,
Yeah.
Bullseye's got a leather trench coat and he's like got the bullseye thing scarred on his head, which, you know, Daredevil's a fun movie. I'm not slamming it, but it is funny to look at like the signifiers that really make it of that early 2000s period.
Yeah, it's the pinnacle of storytelling in movies anyway, you know? Martin
But
Scorsese, eat your heart out, you know? It's just...
putting Irish people in things?
Yeah, only if it's Colin Farrell as Bullseye. Just have every Colin Farrell version, every Colin Farrell... I call this the Colin Farrell multiverse, you know? It's the paradox
Sure.
that in every film, he's just Bullseye.
So in Martin Scorsese's the Irishman, then, were you upset that the titular Irishman was not Colin Farrell as Bullseye?
I was fuming. I sat there for 3 hours thinking, when is this the post credit scene? Where's Colin Farrell? When does he start throwing stuff? Shocking.
Where is he in his leather trench coat?
Where's the leather trench coat, Scorsese? Hashtag get it trending. So anyway, yeah, you know, we need that Colin Farrell as Bullseye. So if you ever looking for a character in Moonlight, you know, Colin Farrell's Bullseye is always there, but just a Colin Farrell version. Another one.
It'd be very confusing for actual comics Bullseye.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, it would actually, because Colin Farrell, just sprinkle a bit of him everywhere, and it's so much better. Like I said, this mysterious character, we just cracked who it is. It's Colin Farrell's Bullseye.
There you go.
I think this is probably the most I've ever brought up Colin Farrell and Bullseye in an interview. I suppose that's the way it goes. But the last comic, actually, the second last comic yours I want to touch on is Avengers Mech Strike. Now, that was drawn by the amazing Carlos Magno.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, fantastic. But I always like to get to work on that. And there's another character I want to touch on that appeared in that. But yeah, I always like to get to work on Avengers Mech Strike.
It was great. Like it was a very weird project because they're like, we were doing this out of continuity thing. The Avengers have robot suits. Here's the robot suits. What do you got? I'm like, all right, sure.
Why not? And
first thing you got to figure out is why do the Avengers have robot suits? They're the Earth's mightiest heroes. Why is the Hulk wearing a robot suit? And so that's kind of what the whole premise revolved around. So there's these machine monsters, these biomechanoids. They would eat Iron Man's armor. They drain the Hulk's energy, et cetera, et cetera. And so instead, we need to build these, vibranium-clad robot suits so that we can fight these biomechanoids. And it kind of went from there. And it was fun to write because you're working with the Avengers, but the whole art aspect is just really amazing because when you have the Avengers in robot suits fighting monsters, you need everything to be like really big scale.
Yeah.
And Carlos could really do that. Like, these cities with these giant monsters and the Avengers going to fight them, he just knocked it out of the park. Like, it's so big and loud and flashy and exciting. And then and now he's on Kang, which I've read the first 2 issues, and the first issue I think is out tomorrow, which is really great. So
you got that little premiere access.
Well, I mean, I gotta know what's going on with these stories when I write them. So
yeah. And so on a scale of 1 to 10, how much Colin Farrell Bullseye is in it? I
would say 8 for 8 Ball.
Oh God, we got to tie it back together, keep it in the family. It goes full circle.
Yeah.
But so, like, speaking of Kang, you got to Kang made an appearance in Avengers Mech Strike. What was it like to get to appear him? Did you get to introduce him?
I like Kang a lot. He's a character who I really like in the fact that he's got a great look, and it really hasn't changed that much. He's still got like the thigh-high boots, he's got blue head, but it looks awesome. Like, it totally works. Of course. It has a certain amount of ridiculousness to it, but in a way that I think is just really evocative. It tells you exactly who this character is.
Yeah.
So like the Kang in Mech Strike is not, it's not a super nuanced or complex version of Kang. He's there to be the cackling villain. He's got his master plan, and ultimately the goodies beat the baddie. But it's just I like Kang a lot. I think he's cool, and this particular iteration of Kang, he's just extremely smug. He thinks he's got the Avengers on the rope, and he just loves to twist the knife.
Yeah. It was your third choice, obviously.
Certainly.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I say, I like Kang a lot. I think, Kang is a character that does, I want to clarify, he does have a lot of nuance and a lot of, pathos. I think he's a very interesting character. We don't get into that a lot in Mech Strike just because it's a big action-oriented story. but I had a lot of fun with them there regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I think that definitely comes through in the story because I mean the Avengers in robot suits fighting Kang is just like, oh yes, this is comic books. And
Yeah.
but yeah, so in another series, probably one series you're pretty well known for is Daughters of the Dragon.
Mhm.
Yeah, so was that some of your earliest Marvel work?
Yeah, that was my first series.
Oh yeah. Oh, and
Um,
was there some pressure there attached to like this being your first series where you're like, oh man?
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, prior to that, so I had written Edge of Spider-Geddon #1. So it was my first full issue, is 20 pages. After I finished that, I sent an email to my editor, and it's basically said like I had a great time working on this. Do you have anything else we could work on together? And he's like, well, actually, I need someone to do this Daughters of the Dragon series. So if you could, what do you got? What ideas do you have? We got to do it fast. So yeah, that was it was a big deal because I never worked on a series before. So I was really trying to figure out how you space these ideas out, how you pace things out, how this sort of works.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like, like I said, like did you think you learned a lot from that? Like
Oh
did
yeah,
you learn a
absolutely.
lot? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like when I started writing comics, um, there's a lot of things that you don't think about as a comic reader. Just something as simple as how many panels do you put on a page?
Yeah.
I was So, I look back to my first issue of Edge of Spider-Geddon. It's kind of a mess. There's way too many words in the dialogue. There's way too many panels on a page. The art. Gerardo did a great job making it work, but I certainly didn't make it easy on him just because I wasn't thinking about that. So going to Daughters of the Dragon, I'd send my scripts in, and I get notes back, and Nick would say like, there's you need to cut 3 panels off this page. It's way too much, or like, this needs to be much smaller. You need less dialogue here.
Yeah.
And that really was the learning process where I was, really made to think about the comic creation process. To this day now, whenever I read a comic, I count the panels on the page to see how it works, to see how, how they tell the story, how they paste it out, how they divide up the real estate on the page for the art. So, even stuff like, I've been rereading Akira lately, and they'll have stuff like, where is it? But they'll do things like you would never see in a Western comic, like cut 2 different scenes on the same page, which is just not what you do. Generally, if you cut to a different scene in a superhero book, you're going to be waiting for the page to shift. I can't find it right now. But so it's just a matter of learning to look at comics in a way that you don't have to as a reader. You can read a comic, just sit down and burn through it and call it a day. But once you start making them and start understanding, like, okay, I gotta figure out the skills I need to put these together, then that's when you kind of start to analyze them as you read them as well, to try to glean what you can, or like break them down for parts as you're reading them, so that you can reassemble those parts into something of your own.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, I think that's amazing. But the last comic you also want to touch on, because I've already took them so much time, Magic of the Gathering. You got to do quite a bit of work on that. So it's like get to work on that series.
It's great. Yeah, I have a lot of affection for Magic. I was very into Magic when I was around your age. Wow. Back in the glory days of the 1990s.
A million years ago with the dinosaurs.
I know.
What's the 80s?
But what's that?
What's the 80s? What's this?
But yeah, exactly. Yeah, so in the 90s, I was very into the cards. I played a lot with my friends. We'd trade cards, buy cards, what have you. And I just kind of fell out of it when I went to university.
Yeah.
So it was really fun to revisit. And I've been doing a lot of work with Boom on the series I've written. I think I'm writing number 11 right now. So we're pretty far ahead. Issue 5 just came out last week. So wow. it's been a really interesting change of pace, getting out of the superhero world and into this kind of like fantasy world, and also working in a world where I'm the main person who is in charge of everything. It's like writing the Avengers, or like writing X-Men. This is the biggest title in this universe.
Oh, is there a bit more freedom?
I can kind of do anything. I mean, there is and there isn't. So like, there's freedom in that. I'm only worried about the continuity of my book. I'm not worried about, all the 80 other books at Marvel.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's there's like another level because it's licensed by Wizards of the Coast to Boom. Then Boom hires me, so there's another level of oversight. So maybe I'll write something that Wizards of the Coast says, well, no, that's not going to work, or no, that contradicts our previous canon or continuity, or just for one reason or another. So it is freeing in that I'm not worried about anybody else's impact on my continuity at this point in time, but there's also another level of oversight. So it's a balance.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think you can definitely see that in the series. But so my last and final three questions before we finish up. So my question I want to ask you is: do you notice improvement as a writer? Like you just brought it up there, like you found out more. But so do you look back at some of your earlier work and say, "Oh no, I could have done this, or I should have done that," or?
Yeah, I think that is both true. It's true. Like I'll look back on stuff I've written and say, oh, that doesn't really work, or like, oh, I should have broke that up into 2 panels, or oh, I could have just cut that balloon entirely.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's been 3 years since I did Daughters of the Dragon, my first series, and I went back to reread it last month, I think, and I see things that I would do differently, or see things that perhaps I would see as like mistakes or rough around the edges. But at the same time, I also see things that I did then that I don't do anymore, but could go back. There's a certain energy to it. There's a certain forward momentum that really kind of breakneck speed to some of my earlier stuff that I think I could go back and learn from. There's things I did that I've forgotten, or things I've done that I've unlearned, that I think is worth looking back and seeing what stuff I used to do but don't do anymore, but probably should do again.
Yeah, absolutely. And so my second last question before we finish up, besides Colin Farrell's Bullseye and 8-Ball, who's your dream comic book character to work on? Who's that one character like, oh, I'd love to do a series or a trade or an ongoing issue with them?
I mean, much like friend of the show, Declan Shelby wanted to do X-Men Green, the Irish X-Men team. I always want to do Alpha Flight. I always want to do the Canadian superhero team.
Oh wow!
We're always have a connection to where we live, So I always loved Alpha Flight. The idea of a Canadian superhero team is always, I always found it interesting, given how many American teams are. Obviously there's no Irish team. I guess just the Union. Yeah, your guy in the Union is what, Snakes?
Yeah, we have. I mean, the Union is like, I guess we have the Union.
I mean, I know it's the whole gang, but
but no Colin Farrell Bullseye, so it's not really represented. Because
no, that's true.
We all see ourselves in Colin Farrell's Bullseye. Like even if you're American, Canadian, English, you all see, oh yeah, that's me. I can see it. Because when have we not gone bald and then I mean, I've lost count of the times that we've all pulled off that Colin Farrell Bullseye cosplay.
I mean, my closet's just full of these leather trench coats. My wife is furious with me.
It's the life of a comic book. But yeah, so is that who you want to work on, Alpha Flight?
Yeah, I'd love to do Alpha Flight. The thing is, Alpha Flight can't sell comic books to save their lives as much as I love them. In the heyday of the 80s, when you could sell a comic book about anything, they went like 150 issues, which is insane. Now we're lucky if we get a one shot once in a while, and it's just the way it goes. So I was very pleased that when we did do the Alpha Flight one shot anthology, I did get to do a story in it featuring Marina and Puck, who are the best Alpha Flight members.
So are you just gonna cram in Alpha Flight in the next Moonlight issue? Like, just, hey, here's this team because comics.
It's tough because a lot of Alpha Flight stuff is now being used over in Hulk, which is a very successful comic.
Oh yeah.
Because Sasquatch is in Hulk. Puck, my favorite Alpha Flight guy, is in Hulk. Guardian and Vindicator they have their whole thing going on. The twins are over in the X books. So yeah, unfortunately, there's just not a lot of the original Alpha Flight left available.
Yeah.
For characters who can't sell their own book, they seem awful popular in other people's books.
In 10 years, there'll be an Alpha Flight film, and we'll just be eating our words. It's literally inevitable.
I hope so.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if. And then the X-Men Green. Declan's on the right track there with Banshee, and then Colin Farrell's Bullseye, I'm trying to pitch him in just everything. I figure it'll catch on. # get that sweet redesign.
You're trying to pitch him in everything. I hadn't noticed.
No, I don't bring him up, which I'm sure you can get. I'm a bit shy about the things
Very
that I love.
bashful.
Like,
Very, very bashful.
yeah, I'm too humble and modest and kind and charming and all these different things. But yeah, so my last and final question: if anyone was looking to get into comic books, what advice would you have for them?
Like getting into comic books as a professional.
Yeah,
My advice is, I mean, it's not super inspiring, and I'll preface this by saying I'm not trying to like step on anybody's dreams or anything, but
don't do
have a
it.
back. No, no, that's not it. But to have a backup, because thing is, trying to go into comics as to make a living is difficult, and it's there's no one way to do it. I got into comics, I like to think that I'm good at it. That's how I've stayed in comics. But I got into comics because I was lucky, because a friend of mine got tapped to do a story, and my friend brought me in to write it. That's just kind of how it happened. I know people who've been working, just grinding, like doing their own books, and they're just, always trying to get the next series out. And they've, everyone, a lot of people I know, always have a backup, always have some way of make sure you've got health insurance and dental insurance, because comics, you can't count on making a living on it. It's not like becoming, it's not like becoming an accountant where if you go to school, you get your degree, you'll probably get a job as an accountant.
Yeah,
It's just not really how it works. So, but on the positive side of that, where if you want to be a writer, nothing is stopping you from being a writer. If you want to be a writer, all you have to do is write. As long as you have something that you can write words on, you'll be a writer. And the more you write, the better you're going to get at it. So while you're working to try to get that break, while you're working to try to, make your mark in comics and get a steady paycheck, the one thing you can do to better your chances of success is to keep practicing your writing. Because I know, there's a lot of people on the internet who call themselves writers. They don't write anything. I was one of those myself for many years. When I was in school doing my BEd, out of my head, I was going to write a novel. And I would just shoot my mouth off about this for like a year. As I ran into a friend who I hadn't seen for a year. He's like, "Oh, last time I saw you, you were talking about writing a novel. How's it going?" I'm like, "Oh, I haven't started yet, but I'm still putting my ideas together." And in my head, I was like, "Wow, yeah, that sounds really bad. Like I've been shooting my mouth off about being a writer and like writing this book, and I have done nothing," which was a real kick in the pants. I bet. So that year, I sat down and just wrote the thing, and nobody liked it. No one wanted to publish it, but it's done. And I wrote a novel, and I learned a lot from the process. So I cannot guarantee you that you will get a job writing comics. I cannot guarantee you that you will make a living, that you will work with the characters that you want to work with, or whatever. The one thing I can guarantee you is, if you want to be a writer, you need to write, and that will make you a better writer.
Yeah.
And the better a writer you are, the better chance you have at succeeding in comic books. If you want to be a writer, if you want to be an artist, I have no advice for you.
Famous artist Jed Mackay. But yeah, that advice doesn't apply to me, because I'm definitely getting a job. Because how many people have come up with my Colin Farrell Bullseye miniseries? It's trademarked, copyrighted, into press, ready to go. No, it's as easy as that. But yeah, so before we finish up, are you on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, anything like that? Do you have a website?
Yeah, just my Twitter, really. It's twitter.com/Jed Mackay, JEDMACKAY. And that's where you can find, I'll generally talk about stuff I'm doing. If I can remember the dates correctly, I'll say when my books are out.
Do you have a blog? Or anything?
No newsletter. I have a blog where I haven't updated for a long time, where I used to keep short stories. You can find that on my Twitter.
Yeah, so everyone make sure to go check out Jed on Twitter.
Yep. That's basically my main point of communication.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can go pick up Moonlight issue 2 from tomorrow. By the time this video is up, it'll probably be out. And maybe issue 3, depending on when I upload this. You can pick up issue 1, you can pick up Black Cat, Magic the Gathering, and Death of Doctor Strange comes out September. Am I forgetting anything?
I think that's it.
That's it. Absolutely. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Jed, I'll talk to you a little bit after I finish recording. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter @SamboGizmo1. Please make sure to donate to the National Deaf Children's Society. Link for that down in the description. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Go check out Jed's work. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next video, and bye.